Alright. Looks like we're ready to go. Alright, gonna count us in. 3, 2, 1. Hello everyone, welcome to another Coffees with Toffees podcast. I will be your host Flubb, and welcome to the Brewmaster's Draft, a show where we talk a little bit about Dota and a little bit about beer. Today we have Kimbrell coming back once again. He's actually coming back to have a draft. He has a draft made for us. He's getting back into the swing of things. I'm excited, and he's already told me before, so a little spoiler for me, but we have to figure it out so that we can plan versus each other. And he's got a great draft for us today. He's got a great team fight draft for us today. So, Kimbrell, how's everything else been before we get into the draft? How's your life been going for you?
It's good. It's good. Silverker came out yesterday. It was a lot of fun. I've had some fun ideas with it. Some of them have failed. Some of them, I think the furthest I went was actually with you. We got past those ogres and all that, and then, or we got to the boss, the ogre boss, and that was it. That's the furthest I've gotten so far. I haven't had a chance to play it a whole lot. But anyway, personally, I'm doing pretty good. Got some somewhat exciting news. I should probably turn my phone on silent. That's probably a good thing. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
So for people that don't know, I've been unemployed for the last month and a half, almost two. Actually, almost two. In like 3 days, be two. And yeah, it's been kind of odd, not working, and it's been kind of cool, but it's also kind of sucked. You know, you need a job to live. But however,
yeah, I hear that.
I got a phone call for an interview. I've gotten 2 phone calls. One is just a position. Just a retail position. The other one, however, is a position that I needed my degree for, and I'm currently 3 classes away. However, they said with my experience plus how close I am to my degree, that it's very likely that they could hire me or at least interview me. And it's a salary-based job, and it's something that would like holy crap. And it would like I would be getting off at pretty decent time, still 3 o'clock, I'd be able to make it here on time and everything like that. Flexible hours, all that stuff. So I am stoked, and I'm like really ready to hear from these people. They called me yesterday. They told me they'd get back to me. I didn't want to pressure up too much today, but anyway. So yeah, that's what's going on in my world. It's pretty exciting in the last 2 days.
Hell yeah, man! I was just gonna talk about gosh, what is it? Silt Breaker. I always screw up the name. It's really bad, but I always think it says Slit, and I'm always like I just got to get that out of my head. It's definitely Silt. But that's all I was going to talk about. Man, your news is way more exciting than mine. Congrats, man. That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm pretty excited.
But yeah, the Silt Breaker is, yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I've been trying out it a lot. It's definitely the best minigame type game that I've ever played for Dota. Like, it's they're out of all their different games, like Dire Tide, and there's Dark Moon, and all of these different things. It definitely has a more homey feel to it. It's got a kind of pullback on War Chasers, because it's got that screen look type feel. So all those old Warcraft 3 custom game players are really enjoying it, and I love it, man. I just can't get past those freaking ogres. If I could get past those ogres, I'd be super happy, because I keep getting up to that boss, and he just keeps destroying me. And maybe it just proves that I am better PvP than PvE. I don't even know why, but when it comes to computers, I just suck, man. I can't play versus computers. They are written into a certain code, but, man, I think that's why I never played MMOs, man. Because, like,
yeah,
I suck versus computers.
They're supposed to be better than you, right? They're supposed to. It's supposed to be difficult, but honestly, I think we had it yesterday. I think we just had a little bit. Like, I think we had someone. We were going in with 3, maybe 2 heroes into that, and I had the artifact thing. I picked up 2 artifacts, which was hilarious but awesome. I got 2 of those, and one of them is a 40% chance for Rupture to be cast on any right click. So I was just casting Rupture on this dude, and people were, anytime like the first boss, when he would start chasing us, it's like, oh, this dude's gonna die a lot faster, and he did. So I think we would have had it if we would. I don't know what happened, but we definitely something went wrong, and like with one hero, and it just kind of crashed from there. But I think the lineup that we had was solid. We had Abaddon and Dazzle, TA, and then I think Shadow Fiend. I would change the Shadow Fiend to Drow, and I think that's a pretty decent lineup. Or maybe Alina, but
Lena, like we played a few games with Lena. Lena's been super good, man. Her wave clear in the very beginning's very, very strong. And
her wave clear, and then her ability to help kite people, like with her stun, and then how long her range is. It's just, yeah. I was watching some streams, and I think PPD was playing Lena on one of his, and like just the ability for her to just kite, and like they were going on a cliff against one of the spider bosses or something, and she looks like she's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, because like that's the thing that I kind of figured out, especially versus the ogres. Like when you get to the boss, his reach is long enough, but the first few ogres you get to, if you have those heroes that shoot from a long distance, then it's very, very helpful. So it's been interesting going into this whole new meta style versus computers lineup. It's a lot of fun. I really hope that they add more heroes though. It's fun where it's at, but it's kind of like the whole Dark Moon thing. It was fun to play a few times over, and then you start getting bored of replaying the same character over and over and over. So hopefully in like a few weeks or a month they'll put out a new set of heroes and it'll feel brand new to me like they did with Dark Moon.
Yeah, I imagine they will, because that's what Dark Moon did, is they added more heroes. So
yeah, give something more available to players that don't necessarily play those heroes very often.
Yeah.
I do like the changes though, like Legion Commander's ultimate. That's really cool that they still kept that from Dark Moon.
Yeah, and then Drow's split shot's pretty cool too.
Yeah,
I like that one.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. But anyway, enough about Dark Moon and our week at playing the buggy Dota that is after Dark Moon. Actually, real quick before we skip, I had a game as we were playing last night. I couldn't click on shrines because of the update. It was killing me. I was mid, and I couldn't go click on my shrine. It was the worst, one of the worst experiences ever, because I am a super divey player, and I was, like, on edge the whole time, and I was, like, screaming, supports, come over here and click this for me. It was, it was an interesting match. Hopefully it's been fixed, but watch out for that in the future. Ever since this patch has come out, you click on certain things, and it just doesn't work. So, yeah. All right, Kimbrell, what are we drinking today, bud?
Okay, so I have I'm gonna call it a cheap beer because it was like $6 for a 6-pack. I went to the gas station, not my liquor store. I needed to get gas and air out my tire. I had a low tire or whatever. And Megan and I are headed out of town this weekend as soon as she gets off today. So I was like, oh, I'll just go to the gas station. I'll just do it all in one trip. So I got a beer that I'd never tried before called, I'm gonna maybe get it wrong, but Ziegenbock from
Ziegenbock.
It's kind of a cool name, Ziegenbock. Like that, I don't know, it sounds kind of badass. Anyway, it's from Texas. It's an amber, and at the top it says kind of legendary. I don't know. It's an interesting beer, but it's a cheap one, and it's a gas station beer, so it's only for us. It's only in Oklahoma, and it's only 3.2 or something like that. So alcohol content wise, But yeah, that's what I'm drinking. It's kind of it's a little darker than like another cheap beer you get like a Coors or something that you get at a gas station. So
yeah, definitely. That's really neat, man. I gotta get some glasses, man. That's crucial right there, showing how dark it is, man. Okay, all right. So I'm sipping on Goose Winter Ale. I know it's a very simple one. Probably everyone has it everywhere. It's roasted caramel, so. It's good. It's got nutty chocolate. I don't know. It seems like this dessert beer. It doesn't taste like chocolate at all, but it says that on the front. So, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm drinking a girl's beer, but that's okay. We got 12 fluid ounces, and it is a 5.3 alcohol percent. So, just a normal beer. I didn't want to go too fancy this week. I wanted to keep it simple. And yeah. Have you ever had a Goose Winter Ale? I feel like they're everywhere.
Yeah, actually. I have. They're pretty good. They're not bad.
Yeah.
Don't mind them.
It's a fine beer to drink on, when you're having just a general good day. All right, so I'm excited about this draft. I know everyone else should be very excited about this draft. Kimbrell, I'm going to give the mic over to you for a while, so I'll let you explain.
Oh boy. All right. So I say oh boy because I haven't been captaining. Like that's where I got when we first started. That's where I got some of my draft ideas from. I was like, oh, I'm the captain of a 3 to 4K team, and I get all these ideas from doing that, and then from drafting. And it's great. Now I'm not, and so I actually have to think on my own and come up with these drafts. And sadly, I haven't played it. I've played quite a bit of Dota, but not as much as I typically do. So been trying to think of something, and I kind of got to you last minute today, but my draft is Bristleback and JAKIRO, who are pretty big right now. I haven't been able to watch much Epicenter, so I don't know how big they are. I did look at some stats, and JAKIRO has like a lower winning percentage, but I know in my pub games, these are two pretty big heroes. Bristleback is almost in every single game. I try to ban him. I love playing the hero, but I don't like playing against him. And if I'm not going to be able to play off lane or mid or something like that, I'm just going to ban him, and I don't want to deal with him. But anyway, Bristleback, JAKIRO, and then Faceless Void, who I've always enjoyed. I've always liked having Faceless Void on the team. I feel like he provides a lot of setup, and he can do quite a bit of damage. He just takes a little bit to come online, and he's going to be the carry. So yeah, it'll take a little bit for him to come online, but then with the other heroes, Ancient Apparition and Zeus, the Chrono is going to be useful at all times. So basically, I'm just thinking with this draft, Faceless Void is going to basically just farm, and AA and JAKIRO are going to secure that farm in lane. There's not a whole lot of lockdown in this lineup, sadly, but I feel like there's enough damage in this lineup, and it's definitely an early to mid game lineup because you're using your Void to get you to that mid game with all the setup, and then if it goes any later, hopefully by that time he has his farming items and all those things, and he's able to do damage instead of just being a bubble on the map for people to throw spells into. So that's what I got. I put bans down as Keeper, Silencer, Nyx, Anti-mage, and Nature's Prophet. I wasn't sure on the last one. I had Sniper originally. I honestly didn't know what hero to put, and I kind of just put a hero. But I felt like Keeper would with any lineup that's a, hey, we want to end this by the mid game type of lineup, a Keeper is always a pain in the ass to deal with because you're trying to push high ground while he's just sitting up there just laughing at you and sending all of his magic damage at you, and all the creeps are dying, and you can't really push high ground, and it's hard to take it. And this lineup doesn't take rush very well. So ban Keeper, ban Silencer for obvious reasons. Nyx Assassin, I feel like he does pretty well against 3 of the heroes, and then also his mana drain versus Faceless Void and Bristleback. Those both, it kind of sucks for those heroes. Now, it doesn't do a lot of damage, but still draining their mana. Bristleback needs mana to do damage with his quills and chase people down, and to get his extra damage from his passive. And then Void obviously needs mana for Chrono and jumps and all that stuff. So, and then I put an Anti-mage as a lineup that's probably going to be pushing S5. You don't want to deal with any split pushing. Also, Anti-mage does pretty good against the little lockdown that this lineup has. Now, a hero like Lifestealer or something like that, I feel like he doesn't split push as well unless he gets like a Deso and just that's all he does is split push. But he definitely doesn't split push as well as an AM. And sure, he can rage through some of your damage. However, you have the Ancient Apparition ult which helps prevent him from leeching the health from you. Also, once that rage is over, that dude is just going to die. Like, he's going to get gooed and hit, and he's going to get magic bursted. I feel like Lifestealer just kind of dies after rage. So if you can kite out the rage, then you should be good to go. And then the last ban I put was Nature's Prophet. I put that because of this whole slow pushing thing. And also I feel like a Nature's off lane would do decently against this lineup. sure, there's, you know, the JAKIRO and AA damage, but there's no lockdown really in that lane besides Ice Path, which doesn't provide a whole lot, and you also have to actually hit the Ice Path. Now, if you get the Ice Path and the AA cold feet off at the same time, and everything goes.
Ooh, hold on just a second, bud. Your mic just went out.
Oh.
Okay, you're good. You're good. You're good.
Okay.
So just restate what you were saying about the AA there for a second.
Well, I was just saying if the JAKIRO gets the Ice Path off and the AA gets his cold feet off on the natures, then nature's kind of struggle, and like he's gonna die, but he's not going to be able to, like, he's not going to be that close to those heroes in order to get both of those spells cast on him. Like, he's a ranged hero, so he's able to last hit with himself and with his trance, and he's able to harass out the AA with the damage that he does, because he does quite a bit of damage, especially since his recent buff. So I just didn't want to deal with that hero on the off lane, and also I didn't want to deal with the split pushing. So that's what I got for you.
All right, so I got a bunch of different ideas on this draft. I like the core concept, bud. Like, this is an awesome draft in play. But honestly, I'm a little confused by the Bristleback. Why did you go with Bristleback instead of another type of offlaner?
Because he's the flavor of the month. And I didn't want to waste it. I don't want to use a ban on him if I didn't have to.
Yeah, that's true. I totally understand that on that perspective. But honestly, I think that he's the flavor of the month for bans. Like, you look at a lot of different people, they're playing the game, and they have a lot of availability, but the last tournament, what was that? Zotac. The Zotac tournament, he was the most banned hero in the whole thing. He was banned 16 times, I believe, in that last tournament, and there's only like 25 or it's like 25 games, I think, something like that. But he was banned a lot, and his getting that hero is going to be pretty hard. And then also, you do lack a little bit without him on the physical, but I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I think that you can kind of transfer it into something else. And I'm looking at your draft and I'm saying, okay, they have a little bit of push with JAKIRO, but if you kill someone in a team fight, all you got is really JAKIRO that's able to really push it out. And that's kind of the weakness, I feel like. So what if you did Pit Lord instead of Bristleback? It's weird, I know. It's not like a hero that's really strong right now. But if you grab the Pit Lord, you got Rain of Fire on the Faceless Void ultimate, and then if you got all those kills, you get that big pushing damage with that big aura of his. So
right, that hero definitely helps, because the Rain of Fire does a lot of damage, like, over time. So if somebody's just sitting in Chrono, and then also you're able to follow up the Chrono with the Pit of Malice, so heroes are kind of stuck in that same position. So that hero would be really good. I think he's, like you mentioned, not in the meta, and if your Bristleback gets banned, I think that would be a hero to consider. You could do that, or you could just move the Faceless to the offlane and just go typical offlane Faceless Void, and then do a carry like a Luna or something like that if you wanted to. There's different ways to go around it, but I really like the high magic damage, just get in your face type of team fight, and I really like Faceless to help set that up if it's needed. You don't always have to use Chrono every fight, but if it's needed, if it's there, like, it completely turns the team fight around. Another hero I thought about instead of the JAKIRO or the AA, either one, probably the AA. I thought about Elder Titan, maybe. That Elder Titan Faceless is just one of those combos that we saw for a while, but yeah. And that would help against heroes like Morphling or something like that.
Honestly, that makes me think about something. It kind of goes into my next point, my friend. You could actually do something a little more greedy by picking up something else at that point. You have so much damage in your tri-lane, like so much push-out potential with AA's ability to add that extra cold damage, or what is it? It's cold feet, I believe. That's his or chilling touch. Chilling touch is his attack that he throws out on everyone. And you have a lot of damage there. You have the amplified magic damage for everything that Jakiro does and everything he throws out with the slow. And you have just mass made of slows. So you can kind of go up against the tri-lane and force them to be in a bad position. With the Void, you can also heal yourself in a situation if they try to like take out the carry. You just time it just right and you jump out and deal with all of their problems. And if you get all that health back, it's very crucial. I like your lineup as an aggressive try, and then going as a greedy safe lane. And if you picked up that Elder Titan, I think that would just like make the draft, because you need something with some reliable way to stop TPs at this point. Because I was looking at your draft, and yeah, you're right. You have no way to really stop out someone with a high movement speed. And even Elder Titan could be a problem. Like, you may want to even have something even more focused stunning than that. Like, even, I don't know, try to do like an axe safe lane, or even like just something that gives out some CC, even if it doesn't really work with the Chrono, because you have so much that works with Chrono already. And I think that's what you're doing with Bristleback. That's kind of where you're going down. I just don't know if you're going to exactly get the hero.
Right. Also, you can... I mean, I just like... This is something that I was thinking about to Devil's drafts, and this... just things that we drafted way back a while ago. Mm-hmm. But Void Elder AA is something we all, like, I think ran quite a bit for a while. The Void wasn't in the safe lane, the Void was in the off lane, and then we had a Luna in the safe lane, which I mentioned earlier. So those three heroes in a lane, like, you have the Stomp, and then you have, typically what we would do in the lane is we would get the Stomp off, and if somebody was slept, we would cold feet them, and then Luna would stun, and then we would throw down the slow, and we would also be doing the extra damage. So by level 3, you're killing people in that lane, and they're not going to lane anymore. Mm-hmm. And then you just completely take over fights with Chrono. Like, you have Luna ult if you need it, you have AA ult, you have the Elder Titan ult, and also his damage. There was so much going on with the magic damage, and the Elder Titan plus magic damage with the AA plus magic damage, people were just dying over and over and over. So it's a draft that I really enjoy. I was just trying to think of with the Bristleback pick, like you mentioned, flavor of the month, but he does get banned out. Mm-hmm. So there are different options for sure. So I would definitely consider just going back to that old draft and just doing that, and just doing a Faceless offlane. Or I could even, like you mentioned, do an aggressive try with the Faceless, since he's able to recover all that health. Mm-hmm. And then there's still damage coming out, and there's still the bashes and stuff like that. So if AA gets a cold feet and then Faceless gets a bash, like, that person dies. And then your safe lane can be any greedy, tanky hero that you need, like an Axe or an Underlord or something like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, honestly, what you just kind of said kind of made me think about your old .p Devil days. So if you're going into a draft that you're thinking about before, like, let's say you picked up a Luna in this lineup instead of the Bristleback, and you went into an aggressive try with Luna, AA, and Jakiro. Then you could have Faceless Void 1v1 and be like 1v1 off lane on the safe lane. You just always set him versus the 1v1 type situation, and he can generally come out ahead versus most heroes 1v1, unless you're getting like a Puck or a Quap or something that's like a little bit of an it's not really the offlane hero, you know. You can kind of pick it up to punish a certain type of situation, and that'd be really the only thing that I would be worried about in that draft, is like the weakness of punishing out a Faceless Void at that point. And then you can kind of change your whole bands around. But honestly, where you have it at right now, I think that if you were to go where you're thinking about with Bristleback, I think that Keeper of the Light is not a problem, really. I know that you want your mana on Faceless Void and Bristle, but whenever I play as a Faceless Void or a Bristle, and there's a Keeper of the Light on the other team, I want them to focus me. Because then I can just turn my back on Bristleback and be like, okay, I won't move, but I'm taking, you know, like 30% less damage, and there's a possibility that Quills are just going to destroy you anyway. If I have someone TP in here, you're dead. And he's squishy enough to let that happen. And the Faceless Void is kind of the same thing. when you jump, you don't lose mana. So it's kind of a catch-22 in that situation where it's like, yeah, Keeper destroys their mana and is a problem once he hits level 6. But then there's also different items you can get at that point to take care of that problem on both of those heroes. And really, they're one of the better heroes to kind of deal with that guy. So is there any other reason besides mana leak? Did you not want to deal with, like, basically the high ground push?
Mainly that. It was just basically the high ground push. Like, the mana leak sucks, but the high ground push, like I said, with the lineup that I have, like you mentioned, there's not a whole lot of pushing power besides the JAKIRO, and maybe the Void, and Bristle gets extra damage if he just spams quills, you know, so that there's a little bit of something. Bristle could go AC or something like that, but overall there's not a whole lot of pushing power. So getting that high ground, it kind of sucks when your creeps are dying, and like you can just do chip damage over and over and over. That's fine, but I was just kind of scared of going high ground against something like a Keeper, or just something that keeps those creeps, you know, dead, where you're not able to push unless. And Bristle could also even just get a pipe like that. Completely, that solves your problems right there. After getting like a solar crest, instead of going Vanguard, you can just go like pipe instead. So actually, that's an idea. Anyway.
That's the beauty about this, man. When you get that back and forth, you bounce ideas off of people, and that's what you're missing with the team, right? You know, you get that back and forth with the team all the time.
I at least got the back and forth with like CARY or something. Just one person was always like we are right now, just going back and forth in a draft. And you're like, well, what do we think about this? And then, oh, we could, you know, pick this hero and go this item instead, and deal with this hero this way. And it's like, yeah, we like that. And so it just kind of, you get confirmation if something's going to work or not. And then when you're playing as a team also, and you see those things work, it's like, hell yeah, like that's me. And so like that, I drafted that. That's awesome. And so not being able to see that anymore is just kind of sucks. So bouncing ideas off of you definitely helps, because this lineup I like a lot, and Bristle just going pipe, you don't even have to ban the Keeper. That's just a wasted ban. So
yeah, that's what it's all about, man. Try to get the people to. Everyone sees Dota differently, and when you get the combination of ideas, it comes out to be something great and just unstoppable. So I do agree with Silencer, though. I think Silencer really destroys your team. I think that's a great ban to have. I think it's a good enough ban to maybe do in the first phase, maybe second. I could see both ways. You can kind of put it out there, because yeah, Bristleback has some problems with Silencer, but he's still a Bristleback. He doesn't have any way to really stop him from taking less damage and being a nuisance. So, and you can also build a Lotus Orb on Bristle pretty easily to help prevent all the damage that he's going to do. You also have Nyx. I like the Nyx because he takes away a lot of mana on your team, and that's what you were describing about earlier, is mana problems. Also, AA is really hard to stop versus him. If you don't have any single lockdown for the guy, he's going to take advantage of that and just blow someone up every fight. So it makes sense. I also like the Anti-mage, similar, where I actually prefer to have, if I'm going Bristleback, I don't want Anti-mage on the enemy team. He just does a great job of taking away your mana, leaving you kind of useless in lane, making sure that you can't kill him, but he can't kill you, type situation. And yeah, you can maybe get farm, but if the Anti-mage is good enough and he can kind of have some supports to help him out in the beginning, he can basically leave the lane alone for a while, unless Bristleback keeps putting out just having like 50 mangoes in his back pocket, and that's just not going to happen. Nature's Prophet's also very good, but ban as well. You have a lot of opportunity to split push you because you don't have a lot of lockdown, and those are kind of the two problems: is not a lot of lockdown, and it's hard to stop split push. It's kind of the same thing. So really, what I was thinking about your lineup, and I was looking at it, Silencer, Nature's Prophet, Anti-mage, and Nyx were all on my top list. But the other four that I was thinking about that would be a real big problem is, I'll start off with first one, get your thoughts on it, Lycan. I think lycan could be a serious problem for your team. He has a lot of split push. His creeps have magic resistance, so that's your only wave clear is magic with Zeus and Jakiro. So I mean, you kind of have it with Bristle, but not really. And it's a little harder to do. I just really like Night Stalker because he can. I'm not Night Stalker. Jeez, lycan because he can have that potential of just turning into his popping his ultimate and running away from the situation.
Yeah, I mean he can split push. He can pop his ult and melt towers with his wolves and everything. And he can also pop his ult and just like kill your AA. Like your AA is going to be so weak that he's just going to die in team fights. So yeah, lycan's pretty good. I think until BKB, if one of your heroes wanted to get like a Rod of Atos, still even after the Rod of Atos is down, he's still able to run away because he's super fast. But yeah, lycan's a good ban. I like lycan.
Is there, if they did pick up lycan, do you think that you'd run the draft any differently? Do you think that you would try to have your your safe lane into off lane, or vice versa?
I think an Underlord, like you mentioned earlier, would definitely help a lot. He's got that root, and you're able to stack your stuns on top of the root. So I think that kind of provides extra catch for the lycan, especially like. Does it still catch BKB heroes? I don't think it does it? Like
it does not.
BKB,
yeah, it does not catch BKB heroes, but it's still good. I mean, it still offers something. There's also, I mean, there's plenty of different things that you could switch up. You don't necessarily have to have certain heroes on this. I honestly think that AA is a super strong pick, and it's like if you get the perfect draft, he's super good with this lineup. But you could put in a disruptor, and your draft would be very, very useful still. You still have a lot of lockdown. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. I'll let you finish
Okay.
that.
Going back and forth here. All right, so real quick, after the ult's done, you just lay down all your stuff, and then they're locked down even further. And you have some catch by having glimpse as well. So a lot of availability with your lineup, and I don't think that it's weak from that if you decide to switch up the supports just a little bit.
Yeah, you could also change out the Bristleback and get like a Beastmaster. He would help split push, and he would also lock down that lycan.
True.
More.
Yeah, that's very true. I didn't even think of Beastmaster on this list, but yeah, that's
no one thinks of that hero anymore.
Man,
he's gone.
With the double boars, man, he is savage now. I love that talent. That is so good. I just can't play the hero, man. I couldn't play the hero when he had 2 boars. I can't play him now when he has 4 boars. It's just too crazy. Can you play the hero?
Yeah, I mean, I really like playing him. Only issue I have with him is in lane for like the first 3 levels. I can micro the boar fine, but there's been a couple times where I'm like, gosh, you know, I just fed that boar for no reason. Whoops. But overall, I typically play him. That was the hero I played offlane for quite a while.
Gotcha.
Back when he was really popular.
I've always tried to play him offlane, but after I have like 2 games with him, I'm like, nope, I'm not going to do this. Who am I kidding? I can't do this. All right, so after lycan, Night Stalker. I know I kind of revealed it earlier, but Night Stalker is flavor of the month right now, man. He is so strong. He's good against Clock, who's another flavor of the month, and he just takes down a lot of key potential around the map. He has so much roam. He has so much availability just to lock you down. He's got a great silence for Faceless Void, and he's got super speed. He just runs away from all this junk. So
yeah, not lycan, dang it. Night Stalker would be a huge problem because he's going to kill Zeus, Jakiro, and AA almost like any nighttime. He's just going to kill those heroes in any team fight because his nuke plus just hitting people, and especially the 2 supports, like kind of sucks for them. They just kind of die. So Night Stalker's another good one. Both Night Stalker and lycan, I like those.
Yeah, I got 2 more. I got 2 more for you. I want to hear your thoughts. So Tinker could be a problem. He's got that high ground pushback, man. He's got that potential to push you away, and he has a lot of getting away. Without stuns, he can be a bit of a pain. So I'm thinking Tinker could be a problem for you as well. You may be able to switch something up though. Like I said, there's still the disruptor pick that you could pick up for instead of AA. There's still a lot that you can do with this draft, especially since you're doing your support as your 4th pick. So there's a lot of availability that you can kind of counter people at this point. I'm not saying that it's 100% counter, just saying it's something you might want to watch out for. Do you think that? Who do you think you would try to like switch it up with Tinker?
You know what's funny? I actually thought about Tinker, and then I was like, oh, well, I'll just build a pipe with a Bristleback. I didn't even think about that with Coddle, but with Tinker, for some reason, I was like, oh, let's do that. His split pushing is an issue. However, whenever he goes to a lane, you're able to, like, you can tell which lane he's typically going to go to. So, I don't know. I was just thinking of scenarios with Tinker when I was thinking about this draft, and I was thinking, with Zeus, if you get an AGHS and Tinker like blinks over into the trees, and you just throw that lightning bolt AGHS or whatever in the tree, it's a low cooldown. It's like a 15-second cooldown, I think, or something like that. And you just throw it over into the trees. Like, 1, it prevents them from TPing. 2, it gives you vision, and you're able to just kind of kill them. But dealing with the magic damage does kind of suck. However, like I mentioned, Bristle will just get a pipe. Doesn't solve all the problems, but it still solves some of the problems. So I think Tinker is one of those. It's maybe, I don't know. I kind of agree with you. I agree with you, but there's some things where I'm like, I can solve a Tinker problem more than I can solve a Night Stalker problem. Yeah,
I hear you. I forgot about the whole Zeus AGHS thing, and it's something that I always say too. I don't even know why. It just like escaped my mind when I was looking at your draft.
Dude, but I played Zeus the other day. Going on a little tangent. I saw his AGHS and I was like, I don't want that. It only adds, 200 to my ult. I don't necessarily need that. It's not a big deal. And then I realized it was the other thing, and we're pushing high ground against 4 melee heroes, and I was just like, you know what? That's probably a good pickup. So I went ahead and picked it up, and it was like, the fact that it's global is crazy. Like, there was one team fight where we got, I was dead, and our team lost 3, so we had 1 guy left, and they had 2 guys left. And with it being global, I just threw it out where they were going to go, like right in front of their fountain, and then ulted, and they just both died. And it was great. Like, I don't know, I completely forgot that the AGHS changed. And it's not like the best AGHS in the world, but it's a lot of fun. It's really cool. I do think it could help with like a Tinker issue. Because it prevents him from blinking, and if he blinks into the trees, it's like, okay, and then give me vision, and now it prevents you from TPing and blinking. So
totally. And if you have it if you get that level where it adds it's like 0.5 seconds to stun on lightning bolt, it actually makes it so that he can't, like, you put it in if he's in trees, he dies. He can't use his ultimate quick enough and blink out fast enough. He just sits there and dies. So
that's funny. I went into the arc lightning percentage game instead of that one, which it did a crazy amount of damage, and I got Octarine Core, so I was just spamming it out. Anyway, but yeah, so okay, who's your 4th hero? Who's your last hero?
Storm, baby, Storm. He's got so much maneuverability. He loves diving as Zeus. He loves diving these heroes, and like he's super good. He still has a lot of potential. Bristleback can't really stop him. He's kind of ignores a Bristleback. Yeah, he puts out a little bit of damage, but he can just jump one of these heroes and just take him out. Especially Faceless Void. Like, if you jump the Faceless Void, yeah, you can lay down a Jakiro stun, and you can like start to stun him on each Apparition, but just have him zip in, pull that Faceless Void, zip away a little bit, and then you're scot-free. And then everyone else just collapses on the Void at this point. Like, Storm is a serious issue. And I actually think that if you moved, like, one of these other bands, like maybe Night Stalker for Keeper of the Light, and Nature's Prophet is a problem, but I think Storm's way, way worse. And people aren't going to pick up Storm until they see the... well, actually, they may, with the Nyx and Anti-mage being banned out. So, like, that's also another problem.
Yeah, Storm would be a huge issue. However, there's a couple things. One, Storm takes a minute to wind up. It takes us a little bit to get where he's going, farm-wise. So if you're able to kill him and you're able to rotate correctly and everything like that, he still eventually becomes a problem, but I don't think he becomes as much of a threat. And if he goes Orchid, you could just go Manta on Faceless Void. And honestly, you could go the old like offlane build, which was Manta Diffusal. And if you get that guy in a Chrono, like he's not going to be able to go anywhere. Or you can go into like a oh, what the heck is that item called? The Bloodthorn. You can go into something like that, and you're able to silence him. So once he's in Chrono, or even if he's not in Chrono and he jumps on you, and you get one bash, one stun on him, and then you Bloodthorn him, he just kind of dies. But that's an expensive item, so by the time you get that, might have on Lincolns, I don't know, but
yeah, exactly.
I like all four. I like all four heroes. I think the ranking I would go Night Stalker, Storm, Lycan, and then Tinker is the way I would put them. Like from most worried to least worried, I guess.
I honestly, I had one more. I had Ember Spirit as a potential one. But dude, versus Bristleback, like I've seen the potential Bristleback. Like if you switched up your lanes, I'm just mentioning this just because I know someone's gonna be like in the comments. They're gonna be like, "What about Ember Spirit? He's a dodgy hero," and I have to explain why your draft just craps on him. So if you switched up your lanes, like okay, yeah, Ember Spirit versus Zeus, good game. But Ember Spirit can only go mid. He goes mid, and you're like, okay, we're gonna just put our Bristleback there. We're going to put our Zeus in our safe lane, and then we're going to tri-lane you, and you're not going to do shit. Yeah, you could go up with an Ember Spirit and transfer over to where Zeus is at, but then you can do that on the other team too. You just keep transferring correctly, and Bristleback destroys a Ember Spirit. Just makes him useless in the game. So that's actually one thing about this draft that I think is like ingenious, having Zeus and Bristleback on the same team. Because Zeus dies the Ember super easy, but Bristleback destroys him.
Right, so I didn't even think about putting Zeus, like if you're going aggro try, and Zeus has a hard mid matchup, it's like, okay, we'll just put him in safe lane and just put Bristleback mid and let him get 6 and a Solar Crest even faster and just destroy everyone. It's a pretty good idea. Also, another thing with Ember and a hero like Storm is AA or Bristle, actually, or Jakiro could go Rod of Atos, I feel like. It's somewhat of an expensive item, but it's good on AA. One, you get the 2 bracers, so you're able to tank up a little bit. 2, it kind of combos with your cold feet. Of course, you want the AGHS on AA, which is it's always great, but I don't think it's as essential with all the damage that you have going on anyway with the Zeus and everything like that. So getting a Rod of Atos versus one of those mobile heroes is always really good, especially if you're able to burst him down. So that's another thing against Ember is if you're just going to Rod of Atos, that hero's going to die. Or he might escape with like 200 HP or something like that. But yeah,
cool. All right, man. So we've talked about this draft quite a bit now. We've kind of gone through the picking order, the bans, a lot of different things that we can do, different problems that we would have. What items are you going to generally want on these heroes? What are the basic core things that you're going to find? I know we've talked about Pipe Bristleback. I think that's a good idea. Is there anything else that you kind of like, okay, you have to have this lineup for this lineup?
Just a second. Pour my beer.
Got priorities, man. Priorities. Gotta pour the beer first. It's understandable.
Okay, so the items I wrote down for Bristleback was Treads, of course, and then Solar Crest. I just feel like that's such a good item on him right now. There's no one, and then Void in Chrono with a Solar Crest hero. Like the hero's probably gonna die if you just Solar Crest and then Void hits. Probably dead. And then I put Vanguard. Vanguard is not necessary, so you could switch it up and go Pipe instead. Also, Wand is really good on the hero. That's an item that people forget about. Super good because people are trying to lay spells on you as you walk away from them, and then it's like, oh, hey, I have 10 wand charges and only, 120 HP. You press the wand and you have more HP, and you're still lasting, and they're still throwing spells on you. It's one of the best items. One of the most underrated items on Bristleback, and it's such a cheap item, but I love going one on that hero. And then with Jakiro, I just put Arcanes, and then EULS. And honestly, there's not much after that because your Zeus is probably going to get the Veil unless Jakiro is able to farm it. You could go the Rod of Atos instead of EULS. You could actually go Rod if you wanted to. I went Arcanes because typically I know the build is to go Tranquils. I went Arcanes because you have a Bristleback and you don't have a Crystal Maiden to kind of help out with that that mana regen. So Arcanes is always good. But you can put it on AA. So AA, Jakiro, either one can get Arcanes and the other one can get Tranquils if they need it. On AA, I put Tranquils, Midas, and then AGHS, but you can get the Rod of Atos if you need it also, and the AGHS is super good. It's probably top 5 AGHS in my opinion, or one of the better AGHS upgrades. Void, I put Treads and Maelstrom. Maelstrom because he needs to farm being in the safe lane if he's going to be the carry, and if the game goes late, that hero's going to need farm. He could go Midas, Midas instead of Maelstrom if you feel like going that route. I just felt like the Maelstrom also comboed well with the Veil and the Ice Vortex, so it just kind of goes hand in hand with that. And then you can go honestly any route that you need to. You can go with the Diffusal Manta, you can go with the crit and the MJOLNIR, and then finish off the crit into a Bloodthorn. You can get an MKB if you need it. So you can just kind of go where you need to and just fill out the game and what heroes do you have that you're playing against. And then with Zeus, I put Arcanes, Aether Lens, Veil, and then EULS or Force, and then I put AGHS. I feel like AGHS is kind of situational. It's not 100% necessary because you should already have the damage. But it's kind of good. It just depends on the lineup. It's very situational. And then the same thing with between the EULS and Force. If you need the EULS for like a silence, it's always good. If you need the Force to get away from like a Pudge or something like that, that's always good. So, or even both, or if you instead of Force, if you wanted to go like EULS and Blink or something, I feel like that's pretty good too.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. There's definitely a lot of things that we were talking about. If you ever do find yourself versus any of those guys that we were, like, you can't get all those bans out, so if you can kind of plan your items around those heroes, there's plenty of good things that Kimbrell mentioned there that you can do yourself. If you get silenced up by Night Stalker, you can have a EULS to save your life, to pull you up in the air for a little bit, wait for people to keep coming, and to get rid of the silence in general. So there's a lot of different things that you can have on your heroes that are dependent on what the other teams have. But basically, the other items that we're talking about are going to be core on your perspective idea of what you're going to be trying to run. Yeah, so makes a lot of sense, Kimbrell. I have no problems with that. So we're going to go into rating the beer real quick. We're going to talk about that for a second. We're also going to, I have a couple announcements that I want to make and kind of let you guys know about what's going on in the future. So first off, let's talk about the Radar beers. How do you feel about your beer today, Kimbrell?
Dude, okay, I'm actually surprised because when I first opened it, it kind of smelled like piss, and I was like, oh no. But once I got it out, I poured it out in a glass, which I don't mind drinking out of a can. I'm not one of those guys that has to always have a glass, but it's canned beer, and I was just like, I don't have high expectations. However, for $6, it's pretty good. Yeah. It's actually not, it's not bad. It's not going to get you that bang for your buck where you're going to be getting, however many beers in that you need, where you're having a 6-point instead of a 3-point. However, it's pretty good, man. I'm gonna give it a 4 for a cheap beer. I'm gonna give it a 4.5. I'm gonna give it a 4.5. It's
4.5.
Really yeah, dude. It's super casual. It's one of those beers that I would pick up honestly. Like, I'm gonna go to this party and we're gonna hang out.
Dang.
And I'm not gonna want to drink like a draft beer. I want a cheap beer. But I don't want Coors or Keystone because I don't want to drink piss. I'm legit. This is the one I'm going to pick up. It's good actually. Like it's not bad.
Wow.
So yeah.
that's like the highest rating you can give one of those beers is a 4.5
right.
for sure.
Dude, it's super good and it's not gross. It's smooth. I'm actually kind of like throughout the podcast I've been like, oh, I'm gonna have another one. I gotta drive later, but take one more, and then it's like, oh, it's so smooth, it's so good. It's not the best beer I've ever had, but for the money that I paid for it, hell yeah, it's pretty good. Anyway, how's your beer?
Well, I'm glad you liked your beer, man. Goose Winter Ale is fine. Honestly, it's basic. Um, and I'm gonna give it a 3 because that is the most basic thing I can give a basic beer. It's fine. It tastes okay. I can drink on it, but I'm not gonna suggest this to anyone and be like, yeah, I've had that. It works if you want to try to drink on it. So that's about as best as you can say about a beer like this. So you know, that kind of. So we're gonna give it thunderclaps, by the way. Obviously, three. We have to state that 4.5 thunderclaps and 3.3 thunderclaps out of 5. And what's kind of most important about today, we're having an announcement, and this announcement is that one, we are going to be going into a new type of brand here, and we've been talking about it the past like week or two, and we have come up with the name. And I'm very excited about it, and I don't have any graphics of it yet, but we're going to be trying to work on logos in the next couple of weeks, working on a different ideas of Patreon and things like that. We have plenty of things planned. I'm going to be doing coaching. Kimbrell's going to be doing a lot of different ideas for teaching about, not teaching, but doing different Twitch stuff, having, like, you can pay him to play, like, some miserable hero over and over, make him play Meepo. And, you know, kind of just do different things like that. So we're going to have a lot of different fun with our Patreon. We're going to have a lot of different fun with our channel. And our channel is going to be called Zombie Panda Studios, ZPS. And I really enjoy the name. I really like it. We have a lot of things planned for ZPS. And I can't wait for you to show you guys what's going to come up in the next couple weeks. But I'm going to keep a little bit of it tight-lipped for now. And we'll go from there. And we have to close out, because all good things must end, as always. So, to help us out, you can subscribe to our videos, or like any of our videos, and you can subscribe to them on Toffees for the next couple weeks, and then go to, obviously, you want to go to the ZPS side of things, and subscribe to both places, you know, Toffees and ZPS. You want to subscribe to his Twitch channel, you can go to twitch.tv/Toffees TV. He's now changed it. It used to be Toffees_Dota 2, and it is just Toffees TV now. Because he's kind of branching off into a lot of other things besides Dota 2. So, good stuff out there. We're also going to have a YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel, obviously, you know, you're going to hear about that in a little bit, but Toffees' YouTube channel is 5 Gaming. We also have all of our casts on VODs. If you're ever interested, you can listen to them on Stitcher, iTunes, or SoundCloud. If you have any questions for me or Kimbrell, you can always follow Kimbrell at @skimbrell_, and you can follow me at my Twitter at FlubbDota. If you have anything that you want me to do, generally doing casts or things like that for your team, you can send me an email at crazyflubb@gmail.com. Alright guys, it was great to share a brew with you today, and I hope to catch you, well, Sunday for the Flubb date, and then next week for another brand new Brewmaster's Draft. Alright, see you later guys.
Bye everyone.